This is our 14th lecture, and today we are going to study open politics as a distinct theory. Open politics theory, a narrow application of open source government, combines aspects of the free software and open content movement, promoting decision making methods claimed to be more open and more capable of determining what is in it the public interest with respect to the public policy issues. It takes special care of instance to deal with equity differences, geographic constraints, defamation versus free political speech, accountability to person affected by decisions, and the actual standing laws and institution of judiciary. There is there is also there is also far more focus on complying actual position taken by real entities than developing theoretical best answers or solutions. One example, Discourse DB simply lists articles pro and cons a given position without organizing their argument or evidence in any way. While in some interprets it is an example of open source politics. Open politics is not a top down theory but a set of best practices from citizens' judiciary. Democracy and deliberative democracy, informed by e-democracy and netroots experiments applying argumentation framework for issue-based argument as they evolved in academic and military use through the 1980s to, to present. Worldwide governance indicators. Based on a long-standing research program of World Bank, the worldwide governance indicators capture six key dimensions of governance: voice and accountability, political political stability and lack of violence, governance effectiveness, regulation quality, rule of law, and control of corruption. Between 1996 and present, they measure the quality of governance in over 200 countries based on close to 40 data sources produced by over 30 organizations worldwide in an update annually since 2002. The governance indicator contribute to the growing empirical research of governance, which have provided active activists and reformers worldwide with advocacy tools for policy reform and monitoring. The indicator and the underlying data behind them are part of the current research and opinion that have reinforced the experience and observation of reform minded individuals in governance, civil society, and private sector that good governance are keys for development. Their growing recognition of the link between good governance and successful development, as empirical evidence suggests, has stimulated demand for monitoring the quality of governance across country and within the individual countries over time. Criticism. The worldwide governance indicators offer a useful snapshot of some perceptions of a country's quality of governance, but researchers have pointed out significant problems in their construction. Their critics have been extensively rebutted by VGI authors in several publications. These critics have claimed that users often fail to take into account and not aware of their limitation. Criticism includes not proceedable. Many of indicators underlining such source rating are not published. Too complex. The VGI control of governance uses 23 combination of sources just for East Europe and Central Asia. The sheer number and diversity of indicators produced by others in a single VGI make it difficult to understand. Arbitrary. For example, VGI uses the indicator environmental regulations hurt competitiveness from the World Economic Forum's executives opinion survey, but ignore the survey's several questions that gives high rating to countries with a high standard of environmental production. The absence of an underlying theory of good governance. No normative concept or unfinding or unfinding single theory to distinguish between good and bad governance when are taxes, labor, or environmental regulatory protection desirable and when are they excessive. Sellings. The World Bank Institute advises its VGIs as reliable measurement of governance, but for example, give a misleading impression that the view of ordinary citizens are represented, making the indicators particularly attractive to donor agencies concerned about the poor. BBI heavily stressed inclusion of Gallup World Poll across country household survey available for a large number of countries, but Gallup's World Poll gets zero weight on two VGIs, marginal weight on two others VGIs, and provides no data for the remaining two. Lack of conceptual clarity. The sixth governance indicator measures a broad underlying concept of effective governance. They appear to say the same thing with different words. The sixth index do not discriminate usefully among different aspects of governance. Rather, each of index, whatever it labels, merely reflects perceptions of the quality of governance more broadly, and implication is that they may have limited use as guides for policymakers for academic studies of the causes and consequences of good governance as well. Their availability may have crowded out effort at measuring the impact of institutions as they really exist in particular place on and real outcomes.